Keanu Trujillo, this is Franklin Blvd Media. Born and raised in New Mexico, and a lot of similarities to Gaston County. It's blue collar, hardworking, and you take care of your own and you handle your business. And growing up there, entrepreneurship just isn't common. It wasn't something that I thought was ever a possibility. It wasn't like, oh, I know business or I know entrepreneurs, but it's not in the cards for me. I literally didn't know that it was an option. When you're in New Mexico, born and raised, it's one of those states, one of the poorest in the country historically. You don't have time to dream when you're trying to survive. And that's what it was like coming up. Neither of my parents graduated high school. And so to just have graduated high school and not end up in jail or dead, for me and my generation, my cousins, that was a big accomplishment. But I always felt like there was something more. I always wanted to do the next thing. And so I graduated school and my family was going through some things. So I went to work early, went into corrections because I thought I would get into law enforcement. I always had a desire to serve people. And along the way, I also joined the Army National Guard for a time. So I was in law enforcement. I was also in the Guard serving in the military. And that led me to going into a couple of years of active duty. And then after that, I had begun my walk in faith and I felt called into ministry. So to recap, it was corrections, law enforcement, simultaneously being in the military and then going active in the military. Then I had a brief stint in financial services for a year, which taught me sales and building a business from the ground up from your warm market, and then ministry. And that's what brought me here to Gaston County, specifically North Carolina. And I know that it was divine because the church that I moved to Charlotte to work for, I was assigned to the Gaston campus. And if I would have been just a moment too late or a moment earlier, I would have been assigned to the Concord campus, which is what almost happened. And so I was assigned here and I met these amazing people, amazing entrepreneurs that I'll owe everything to and I'll honor always. John Logan from Luray Athletic Club, Summer Wilson and Preston Wilson from the William Henry Brands, and Nicole McNair, who's a serial entrepreneur in the region. These were some of my first friends here in Gaston County. And when I was thinking what's wrong with me, they started to show me what was right with me and that I wasn't meant to be an employee. The reason I always wanted to move on to the next thing or build something greater or try and move on to the next level of opportunity was that I just was not meant to be an employee. I was not going to be satisfied until I could build my own destiny and build my own box. And entrepreneurship was that journey. So not only did they help me with the mindset, they showed me the path. They took me in, coached me. They were all my first clients, all three of them. And they put some money in my pocket. They helped show me how to build a business. And my first business was in consulting and coaching for businesses using all my background in law enforcement, military, and everything there. And I realized I want to do for as many people as possible what Summer Wilson, John Logan, and Nicole McNair did for me. How do I help as many people as possible see their path into entrepreneurship and realize it's not what's wrong with them, it's what's right with them? And that's what led to Alchemy Coworking. And now as we sit here today, we're sitting in our newest location at Luray Mill. We're about 2.5 years old with 3 locations, 2 in Gastonia, 1 in Charlotte. And the whole mission started because of those entrepreneurs that helped me get my start. Well, having moved here to Gaston County when I moved here in 2018, loved Gastonia. It was funny. I had 3 weeks to move here, and I was looking on the maps, and I looked at downtown, and I saw this seafood spot and this coffee spot and all these places that maps didn't say they were shut down permanently. And so I felt bamboozled because we moved here. We were right around the corner off of exit 19, up off Modena Street, and we had moved here. And I came downtown, and everything was boarded up. There wasn't a lot going on at all. There was web. There was Viva Techies, there was Pita Wheel, there wasn't a whole lot. And I remember looking around, and even then I wasn't entrepreneurial. Java House, the coffee spot, that was still there. I remember looking around and just seeing the potential. And so with that, I wasn't entrepreneurial yet. I just fell in love with downtown Gastonia very early on. And when I started building the path towards making Alchemy happen, I actually thought I would always have a location in downtown Gastonia. I didn't intend to start there, and that's just where it ended up. I was always going to come this direction though, but I believed in downtown Gastonia always. So when the opportunity presented itself, we had a building that it made a lot of sense. The landlord loved the model. And not only did I start this mission to make Alchemy happen with, so no credit, no money, no background in this, just a vision as to what I wanted to make happen, as to what I shared earlier, as to why I wanted to make it happen. And with that, I just continued to visioneer. I would tell anyone that would listen to me, here's my vision, here's my idea. I want to bring these entrepreneurs together. They build, they grow, they make room for the next person. And of course, naturally, we know that now to be co-working as the vessel to make that happen. But I was sharing that vision left and right, and I was striking out, couldn't get a deal, couldn't get an opportunity again. No money, no credit, no experience. So landlords wouldn't take the gamble on me. And I understood that. While Preston Wilson, husband to Summer Wilson, happened to bring a building that he said, hey, the landlord, the owner of this building wants some cool intentional models. And I think that this makes sense for your vision for co-working. So he brought that forward and basically, long story short, said, how do we make it happen? I said, easy, I'll sign a long-term lease, but he pays for all the construction. Not finance the construction, not give me a loan, not bake it into the lease. I will pay market rate rent for 10 years, and you pay for the construction and we'll make it happen. And he said, deal. So I love that part of the story, and I emphasize that now with entrepreneurs all the time, is you don't have no money, you don't have any experience, you don't even have credit, you have nothing but a vision, you can make it happen. So Alchemy is not just a place to make that dream reality, it is an example, a beacon of what can happen with being tenacious with vision alone. Building on the cornerstone of culture, we are intentionally connected. So people that understand co-working, you can have an office, you can have a desk, we have a membership where you can come and spend time as you need. It's 24/7 access. We have meeting rooms, so we have space. That's the foundation of what co-working is for those that aren't aware. But our intentionality and our difference is our culture. So we're not just working in places where it's like the gym, right? You think that you can meet people at the gym, but everyone's there to get something done. They're not there to meet you. That's how a lot of co-working companies are. Us, we're very intentional. We make connections happen. I know that if Tarek has this going on and Angelique has that going on, then they ought to connect with each other. They ought to collaborate. We do that intentionally. So you take that with me alone, intentionally creating that culture originally, and now you spread that across 70 people that call downtown Gastonia their business headquarters, their business home, then you see this culture, this ripple effect of not only businesses thriving and going to the next level, but even businesses getting started and finding their footing because of that intentional culture. So with that allowed us to launch to our second location in Charlotte within a year. And now here we are sitting in our third location in just over 2 years. And this deal was actually done back in June. So we could have got 3 locations done in under 2 years, but obviously being intentional with how we timed those out. And then also Alchemy Studios was born out of that intentionality and partnership as well. So it's the culture, the intentionality to say, hey, I'm building my business. I need to be in this room. I don't know how people build their business outside of Alchemy. It's like you must like life on hard mode, because in Alchemy, it is intentional, it's relationships, it's a great place to build, but it's the best people to build with. Well, the vision as far as the future goes is, what Alchemy does, our measure of impact is not just in what we do, but who we inspire and how they do it now. So how are we planting seeds in people that are going to go forward and make space for the next person? So I'm trying to make space for the next person to make space for the next person, because Summer and Preston Wilson and John Logan made space for me, and someone made space for them, and someone made space for them, right? So ultimately, how are we creating that mindset of, hey, you owe it. It is an obligation in the best way. It is a responsibility to make space for the next person. So someone who could be starting their business at Alchemy right now, today, August 25th, 2026, they could be just getting started. We don't know how they're going to go on to impact thousands or hundreds or even just one person in the future. But if we spread that out over hundreds of people Alchemy's impacting, now how do you multiply that impact in the community? And we've already seen it. A lot of people that are building their business at Alchemy now are plugged in with, DTG, Downtown Gastonia associations, and the GBA, and giving back to the community. And not to say that they didn't already have that heart, but would they have been doing it right now? I don't know. But I know that Alchemy got to be the catalyst for that. So our impact and how it ultimately supports the future of Gastonia, the future of Gaston County, not only for those that are born and raised here right now that want to continue to build just like you and make it home, but at the same time, those that have yet to discover it, that realize that, hey, this is my home, this is the place that I want to build. It's hard to even imagine how that impact can be multiplied, because Summer and Preston Wilson made space for me, and now I've made space for hundreds, and those hundreds will make space for thousands, and so on and so forth, especially in the entrepreneurial space. I believe 100% entrepreneurship is a DNA trait. I can't change it any more than my eye color or having hair, right? But I can have a great beard. That's my DNA. You can't change it. If you're an entrepreneur, you will know you'll never be able to escape it. You'll be 70 years old still thinking, man, I wish I could have started that thing, or I wish I would start that thing. Or also, too, again, thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I be settled in this salary or this job, or I feel irresponsible, right? What the normal world, the ordinary world tells you to be, you're not. You are extraordinary. You are an entrepreneur. And that doesn't mean that if you're not, there's anything wrong with you. But for those that are, we're looked at as crazy. We're looked at as reckless and risk takers and all of these things, when it's like, no, that's just how I'm built. So being able to encourage those to take that step and keep them here to build their business and make those leaps and give them a space, a surrounding, a soft place to land to make that happen. We don't know what that impact could be and how far that can go. So that's what we are creating. That's what we already have created. I know that's what we will continue to create, but how far that impact goes, it's really hard to measure, but it's exciting to think about. Well, joining Alchemy is easy. You can get online and sign up tomorrow. We join as easy the next day. As it comes to offices, people understand that when they need or they want an office. No deposits, it's plug and play. You can start tomorrow, no long-term leases. Everything that we do at Alchemy is not only making the space accessible, it's really easy to get plugged in at Alchemy. I want Alchemy to be to entrepreneurship like what Planet Fitness did for fitness, right? It made it very accessible, very easy. It removed the barriers, plug in tomorrow, right? What we're able to do as far as getting started, it's really simple. You can get online, come and book a tour, no deposits. It's furnished. You can have that office right now furnishing. We'll put your logo on the door tomorrow and get started with your business, as well as we understand the ebbs and flows of business. So if in 6 months you have to scale back or life changes, you're not locked into this long-term lease. So we're seeing a lot of flow there, but also making entrepreneurship accessible. You can get started today. I said in the beginning over 2 years ago now that if people walked into our doors and said, I don't know how, but I feel that if I just get plugged into Alchemy, I'll finally start making that business happen instead of talking about it. We've already had a handful of people start pre-LLC, join Alchemy, make their business reality, and 90% of them are still in business right now. So it's really easy to get plugged in, get involved, and obviously we'd love to have you build with us. But again, it's not about the space, it's about the culture and making that dream reality or making the ordinary extraordinary together. Just dream bigger. It's never ending. There's a brand that I started this year called Unemployable. Right, unemployable. Imagine if you were getting fired from a job and someone said you're unemployable, right? It's like a negative remark. But the truth is, being unemployable is you're not for sale. You couldn't be for sale. A salary, a 9 to 5, it just doesn't do it for you. I'm unemployable. You can't employ me. You can contract me. We can work in that basis, but you cannot hire me because you do not have the capacity for my potential or my earning potential, right? My potential as a human or my earning potential. So Unemployable is a brand that I started this last year, and the first drop is called the Dream Bigger drop. We actually work with local printers. Everything that you see Keanu doing is about supporting another entrepreneurial path. If it's not doing that, if it may look, left, right, or center, South Point Social, which is a bar I own in Belmont, well, why the heck did he do that? Well, one of my best friends wanted to start a bar, so let's go make it happen together, right? Everything's about the entrepreneurial path. So Dream Bigger, all of our hats are material. They are actually printed by local creators, designed by local creators. We could save a lot of money or make a lot more money by having them created, offshore, whatever. We actually do them local. So this drop was by Justin with Think Local or the print shop, and Justin Day, he created this drop, and Dream Bigger is our first drop for the collection. And again, Dream Bigger is, well, okay, I dream big. I have 3 locations within 2.5 years. Now what? Well, dream bigger. What else can you do? And again, ultimately too, not just about what you can do for yourself, what can you do for the community or others around you? I just want to encourage the entrepreneur that especially comes from where I came from. You can look at all of this and it'd be really easy to think and see, must be nice. I actually had someone that had the audacity to assume where I come from recently, and I thought, you have no idea. You have no idea where I've come from as far as literally nothing. So when I say get it out the mud, I understand what that is like. So sometimes it falls on deaf ears for the person who needs to hear it the most because they don't understand actually that you can make it possible. One thing I learned along the way in chasing down this dream, I faced 2 years of rejections before I got that first location in downtown Gastonia. And now we have 3, right? So I understand what it's like to be in that position. Here's what I learned along the way. Money is always looking for opportunity. Opportunity has to work harder to be discovered by the money. And what that means is the money that made downtown Gastonia happen, that made the second location happen, that made this third location happen, it was out there all along. TriBridge, amazing partners here that own Luray Mill, care about the community, investing heavily in the community. They always had this money set aside that they wanted to bring in a model like this. It was there. I had to be intentional to go and be discovered by it. The Charlotte location, it was an acquisition of an existing co-working company, and it was there since I moved here in 2018, right? That was always meant to be mine. But if I didn't work as hard as I did, and also glory to God and his faithfulness, if I didn't work as hard as I did though, you know, he ultimately gives us the materials, but we have to go and make it happen. None of it would have happened. So the quote is, put it on my gravestone: money is always looking for opportunity. It will invest in the craziest idea and dream that you have. There's someone out there right now that says, I will write that check. I believe in that mission, but I'm not going to be the one to make it happen. I need that entrepreneur to go make it happen. Money is always looking for opportunity. Opportunity has to work harder to be discovered by the money. And you'll know when you need that mindset if you said, if I had the money, I would. If I had the money, then I. Nonsense. The money's out there. If you have the vision and you have the tenacity to go make it happen, the money will appear. Well, it's man, I don't think I've ever gotten emotional on an interview before, but thinking about that kid, you know, there that has just that is, you know, I can really empathize with that kid. It's like, you don't know it now, but what you're going through genuinely, one, is not normal. Just because it's your new normal and what you exist in, it's not normal. And it's okay, and you're going to make it through that. And on the other side of it, it's going to be everything that you need to conquer the world. All the things that you're going through, wherever you're starting. I'm genuinely talking to the kid that's like, you know, it's okay. And yeah, I've never gotten emotional on an interview before. Everything that you are going through, it is going to make you better if you let it, genuinely. I was raised with a lot of mindsets that ultimately created kind of a victim's mentality, you know, that, you know, well, poor me, or why me, or you don't understand. And then I realized all of those things actually made me the person that I am, and you have the ability to take control of the narrative and take control of your scenario. So whatever that looks like, the dream, the vision, and even if it's not an entrepreneurship, your dream is in a specific role or sports or whatever it may be, everything that you're going through right now is fuel to make all of that happen. So one, you can make it out of that. You can get out of there, and there will be a time, there's going to come several crossroads and choices that are going to define that. You're not always going to make the right decision, and you don't have to make the next decision is not your last decision. It's just the next decision. So it's okay if the next thing just leads you one step closer to getting out of that situation or getting to something that you're proud of. And I can speak to that kid because now I feel like I'm just talking to myself. You know, I don't know what I'd go back and tell him, because part of me would want to rescue him from that scenario and that situation, and a part of me knows he has to go through it. So what do I say other than keep going, keep a good head on your shoulder, understand that it's all pointing in the right direction, and all the things you feel like are holding you back right now are actually the things that are going to be your rocket fuel to get you to the next level. Because I remember growing up and seeing kids that had a lot more than I had, and I remember thinking, you know, with envy, like, why? And now a lot of those kids are in pretty rough situations because they didn't have to earn what they had. It was just given to them, and it created to be candid, a terrible human being. But the things that you go through, they're ultimately going to make you a better person, a kinder person, a more tenacious and resilient and relentless person. And you'll speak soft, and you'll have a great deal of empathy for everybody in every situation. And also, nothing can hurt you, nothing can take you out. Because if that didn't, then nothing else will either. So it's genuinely, you will be the person that speaks soft and carries a big stick and serves the world in an impactful way.
Anything else to add to the end?
No, I just hope we have more conversations, because I feel like now that person's going to show up, and I can't wait to meet them and be able to impact them here just in our backyard. You never know how far impact for one person can genuinely go, you know.